do the best job that you can do. Don't always try to look forward. Um, Quality of life goes a long way in this business. Um, and that's probably for doing this almost 30 years. The quality of life is really, really good if you let it be. You get some of these young guys that are constantly switching jobs and grinding to go to the highest level possible, but what's the quality of life, right?
Episode 145 featured Dave Ragone, the associate head coach and offensive line coach at Augustana College in Illinois. We spoke about the importance of adaptability, relationship building, and focusing on quality of life over just going for the next big thing just to have a title. Also excited to collaborate with our friends over at Coach and Share, the go-to online marketplace for coaches to buy and sell products. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode today. Let's dive right in.
We're in Rock Island, Illinois, so it's kind of, would that be West Central, right on the Mississippi River. Actually, we are talking to you live from Iowa right now. So
There you
we
go.
live in Iowa, but we coach, and the school is in Rock Island, Illinois.
Okay. Gotcha. And when we were first getting connected, just for the audience, so they know our connection. So Coach Ragone actually played at Ursinus College, which is one of our rivals where I played at Gettysburg College. So have the Philly connection. To get things started, Coach, can you just share with the audience about your background and how you ultimately got involved at your current role?
Yeah, so from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, South Jersey guy, big Eagles fan.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then went to Ursinus and played there many moons ago, a little bit before you did. We never crossed paths playing. But then I was exercise science kinesiology, and I was working in cardiac rehab in Allentown, Pennsylvania, thinking I was going to go to grad school for cardiac rehab. A guy calls me up and says, "Hey, you want to come coach football in Indiana at Division III Manchester College, right outside of Fort Wayne?" I said, "Let me think about it." He said, "Well, you got till Sunday," and this was on a Wednesday. So I went in
Wow.
and I quit my job, got in the truck, and went to Manchester, and then to Bemidji State, where I met our current head coach. We were both graduate assistants a long time ago as well. And then we separated for a little bit. And then he got the job at Monmouth College in Illinois in the year 2000. And then we moved to Augustana, Illinois in 2015. And here we are.
Wow. So when were you at, well, how is it pronounced? Bajimi?
Bemidji.
Bemidji.
Yeah.
When were you there? Because one of my former coaches, Coach Sean Weaver, he played there. He might have
Okay.
been he might have been a little
Yeah.
later.
I was there mid 90s, like 94, 95, somewhere in
Okay,
that range.
gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was
Yeah. So all this gray hair, I used to have hair that looked like yours.
yeah, so he was, I think he was there early 2000s, but he coaches at Albright College right now. And also
Oh, yeah,
another
yeah.
really great guy.
Yep.
Um, so having had all those experiences, coach, going from but Bajimi to Manchester, now to Augustana. Um, can you talk about what are maybe the top 2 to 3 lessons that you've learned over your career that you wish you had known when you were first getting started?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the number one thing now is an athletic director many, many moons ago kind of said this to us, is that never forget that you're here to serve the student. So you're here to help the student athlete uh, grow, progress, whatever it may be. Yeah, it's great to win games, but remember the overall big picture is that you're here to help the student athlete grow and become, and in our business, to become a man. So we always talk about that a ton: a better husband, a better father, better citizen, all that stuff. So I wish I would have known that back when I was young. The other thing is, recruiting nowadays is a ton different than it was back in the day. You know, it all used to be phone calls, and now it's all social media and everything of that nature. So, um, So just keeping up with the times has kind of helped me progress, obviously, through this profession as well.
Yeah, and I really think that just goes back to like what you were saying. It's changed. You have to be adaptable, but it all comes back to relationships and your ability to connect with the kids. Although it's different, back then maybe it was a little bit more personal. Nowadays you still have to be able to relate to them, but in a different way. So, can you talk about, in addition to recruiting, what are some other ways that you've adapted over your career?
So with the head coach, again, I've been with him for 25 straight years and 30 overall. He is not a micromanager. And this is some advice for young coaches is find yourself a head coach that doesn't always constantly look over your shoulder. Find a guy that hires you to coach and lets you do your job. That's extremely important. But having said that, we've probably changed offensive techniques for offensive linemen probably about 10 times in the last 25 years. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's just little tweaks. But having that ability to adapt as the game advances, especially from a defensive standpoint, is extremely important. So just to have that adaptability, like you said, and open mindedness. Another great thing we always talk about is if it ain't broke, break it and make it better. So, and we actually just did that this past fall. But
Thanks again to our friends over at Coach and Share for sponsoring today's podcast. I checked out the website and they have a lot of interesting products from guides to templates. Definitely check it out. It's called coachandshare.com.
that's a whole different story.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great saying. So what does that mean for you guys? Can you talk about that more?
So if it ain't broke, break it and make it better. So we've been doing kind of the same practice format for years. And then last year, the head coach kind of said, we're going to change to this. It's called like sprint based football. Have you heard of that? Tony Holler, sprint based football.
Not really, no.
Um, but it's very interesting. So it's all based on really counting your repetitions. And remind me, the Eagles, we got some of the stuff from the Eagles too. Counting your repetitions and not beating your body up like we did when I played and possibly even when you played. Did you play for Barry Streeter, by the way?
For 1 year.
Okay. Yeah. But that's the whole new philosophy is rest is good. So that's how we kind of adapt and change it this last fall. And it really, really was beneficial for our guys.
Yeah.
Healthy, fresh, and fast.
Yeah. Definitely. And it's funny to think about it too. I don't feel like I'm that far out, but at this point I'm already 3 years out and it's a totally different game in a lot of ways.
Yep. So
Especially.
I was just going to say real quick to the Eagles. So former player of ours was the Eagles quarterback coach last year. And we got with him and said, hey, how do you guys practice with like Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey and all these old guys that have a lot of miles on their body? And they kind of do the same thing, sprint-based coaching, sprint-based practice, all that stuff. So it's real interesting.
That's cool. So basically just like tracking all that information and then just knowing where they're at and adapting based on that.
Correct. And again, just not beating them up and really communicating them and having that good relationship, like we said earlier, talking to your right guard and say, how do you feel today? My right guard had 30 starts under his belt. Does he really need to go inside run on a Tuesday in the middle of the season? No. So we just kind of communicate with them like that, which that's the other thing about being adaptable. This new practice style, your coaching ego, especially for our older guys, has to really take a back seat. You have to put the kids on the front burner and their health really more than anything. So,
yeah, no, that's a great point. And I think obviously in the NFL, it's been a trend for the past few years, but it's seems like it's trickling down to the smaller college levels too. And then even probably, I'm sure some of the high schools.
definitely. And that's another way we got it. There's some high schools here in the state of Illinois that do a really good job with it. And the proof is in the pudding. I think we have 8 classes here. I think three or four won state championships that use this format.
Wow.
So
So
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, like you were saying, I mean, you gotta follow the trends, get with the times, and really just figure out what's working for other people. Because when you do that, you know, if there's a proven methodology out there, why not try it, right?
Correct. What do they call it? If it's an academia, you steal research. It's called plagiarism, and coaching, it's just called research.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, 100% true. Um, any last words, Coach, that you would want to share with the audience today?
No, I think just the biggest thing is, um, and you guys kind of said it on the last episode, is um, be where your feet are currently. Do the best job that you can do. Don't always try to look forward. Um, Quality of life goes a long way in this business. Um, and that's probably, for doing this almost 30 years, the quality of life is really, really good if you let it be. You get some of these young guys that are constantly switching jobs and grinding to go to the highest level possible, but what's the quality of life, right? So,
Yeah.
and if you ask some of my former players, once I had kids, I kind of slowed down a little bit too, which is good.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think it's just being self-aware and knowing what are your goals. And it's okay to not want to do that. It's about, if you want to have, like you're saying, that quality of life, that's okay. So 100% agree
Correct.
there.
Correct. And just keep, and you're doing a great job, and I appreciate it. Just promoting this great game, and staying with it. There was a little bit of time a couple years ago when it was kind of downtrending, but we're seeing it on an uptrend right now, especially at the lower levels. So that's very, very promising. So again, kudos to you, and what you're doing to help promote the game and keep it going moving forward. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no, thank you for being on, Coach. And really that's the goal with this, is to be able to promote smaller colleges, especially because, you and I were both Division 3 players, former players, and you coaching Division 3 level. So greatly appreciate everything that you do. Wish you guys the best of luck as you continue, or I guess you're done recruiting now, but continue with all season, um and yeah, thank you again for being on, Coach.
Awesome. My pleasure. Thanks again. If you ever need anything moving forward, or anybody out there, feel free to forward my information to anybody.
Awesome. Thank you.